Hello again, everyone. We're back again. We're here to read part 3 of The Book Thief. It's a pretty exciting section of the book. When Liesel and Hans are leaving from the bonfire after Liesel has stolen her second book, The Shoulder Shrug. I actually looked up The Shoulder Shrug, and I guess Marcus Zusak made up the book, The Shoulder Shrug. He also made up The Gravedigger's Handbook and another book that we've yet to discover. He made those books up as a part of various different aspects of Nazi Germany, which I found rather interesting. Liesel and Hans are walking home from the bonfire when Hans discovers the book that Liesel has stolen. Liesel is afraid that Hans is going to be mad at her, but he of course isn't. I think he's more afraid than anything else. So he goes and he buys the book Mein Kampf. I think that's how you pronounce the name of the book, Mein Kampf. So he buys this from the Nazi Party group, I think, that's in town. And they basically say to themselves, you know, no matter how many copies of Mein Kampf Hans Huberman buys, he will never get into the Nazi Party, which is interesting. We also discover who saw Liesel steal her second book. It was none other than the mayor's wife. Fantastic. So Liesel's going about her life terrified of somebody taking her away or bad things happening because the mayor's wife knows that she stole this book. So Liesel ends up skipping the mayor's house on her run through the washing route. And she does this a couple times before she's eventually forced to actually go see her. And she's, of course, terrified. She's terrified. So she goes up to the door and she knocks on the door, and the mayor's wife, I think her name is Ilsa. Ilsa, yes. Ilsa Herman. So Ilsa opens the door as if nothing happened with the washing in her hand, and then motions for Liesel to come in. Liesel is afraid to go. So Ilsa leaves and comes back with a huge stack of books. And this tempts Liesel. And she walks into the house thinking, Ilsa's going to torture me, which I just think is so funny. But Liesel follows Ilsa into the house and follows her to this big, beautiful library where there's books everywhere. Just bookshelves of books of every color, every genre. It's just book heaven. And Liesel is very excited about this, as you might imagine. But her first encounter there is a bit more awkward. So she isn't quite sure how to handle this. So she kind of is afraid to take any of the books off the bookshelf or read any of them. She just kind of touches them and then leaves. But then ends up staying much longer than that, up to like 30-45 minutes reading books on later encounters with Ilsa. And this section, hi! Hello! Tokyo, everyone. Isn't he cute? Tokyo. I don't know if you can see him. This is Tokyo. Yeah. He meows kind of like Katie. Come here. Will you stay? No? He's not a lap person. He just likes to talk and rub his face against everything. In this section, the narrator bounces between Liesel and her story and a new character. His name is Max Vanderberg, and he is a Jew living in Germany. Max Vandenberg is in this storage room, is what he says. And he's in the dark, he's alone, he's been in the dark alone for a long time. He is trying to escape and find someplace safe. We jump back to Liesel's story, where she is trying to read The Shoulder Shrug, and they kind of tell you what The Shoulder Shrug is about. And they basically say that it's telling the story of a Jew in a positive light, and that's why it's considered unfavorable in the current situation. Understandable in the current situation. While going to Ilse Herman's house to read, she stumbles upon this book with a name in it. It is Johann Herman. And Liesel asks Ilse who Johann is. And she basically says that Johann was her son who had passed away, which I feel kind of connects the two, Ilse and Liesel. They both have lost people that they love very much, and I feel like this connects them on a deeper level, so to speak. I feel like Ilse, because of this, is just so drowned in her remorse. She can't do much, you know. She has a hard time speaking. She has a hard time responding in a reasonable amount of time. She rarely gets out of her bathrobe. I feel like she's just so drowned in depression that it's hard for her to do much of anything, which is so super sad. And I feel like having Liesel over helps a little bit, having that child over. It's something that, you know, a child that enjoys what her child enjoyed, you know? Liesel and Rudy start stealing food at this point because rations are so small and Rosa and Hans get so few jobs that they don't have much to eat. They have basically pea soup all day, every day. Yum. But Liesel and Rudy start stealing food. They saw a boy a little older than they are with apples, and apples was kind of a rarity at that point. So Liesel and Rudy asked him where he got these apples, and he just, you know, was very hush-hush about it. So when they saw him next, they followed him. He led Liesel and Rudy to a group of other older boys that were stealing apples from a farmer, and they were invited to join. So their first stealing operation ended up fairly well. They got a dozen apples each, So they were invited back more and more often to steal more things, like potatoes and onions and that kind of thing. And then of course we jump forward to follow Max Vandenberg, who is on the train to Mulking to ask for a place to stay, to hide at this point. Max Vandenberg gets off the train at Mulking and starts walking to his destination. And he eventually gets there to this house, the number 33. Yeah. At this point, I don't think he's expressed who is at 33. I don't want to give it away to anybody who hasn't figured this out. So I'm just going to leave it at that. But we're going to jump back in time to Little Liesel's story. Liesel and Rudy and the rest of the gang were stealing potatoes. And the farmer shows up with an axe. So they all run, try to jump over the fence, and Rudy gets stuck. Which is kind of a nervous moment in the book there. But Liesel actually ripped him from the barbed wire that he was stuck on. You know, a bit of his pants were left behind, but all of his limbs were still intact, which I feel is a better outcome. The leader of their little gang, Arthur Berg, moved to, I think it's pronounced Cologne. He moved there where the rest of the gang never saw him again. But the narrator gives a little insight into Arthur Berg and his life, basically saying that he held his dead baby sister with 2 stolen apples in his pocket, which is incredibly sad. A lot of death in this time period. It's awful. Well, that's it for part 3. I'm looking forward to your guys' interpretations of this part, and I'm looking forward to the next part. It's getting so much better. I love it. I love it. I love it. So I will see you guys next Saturday. We will be reading part 4. I am super excited. See you guys later.